Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video. So in today's video I'm going to be finally creating my little cottagecore town up in the Forest of Valor. Now if you've been watching my live streams you'll know I've been waiting months to do this. This was my dream snap spot because all my rest of my valley was decorated, so I was like I need a spot for dream snaps, but I've now actually got a spot in my meadow and my plaza. So I've now finally been able to get my forest finished. I've already got my farm area at the top, which you will see throughout the video, and then obviously my Mulan area in that smaller section. But this area has been kind of left to be a little cottagecore town for a while now. I've actually put my own player house up here, as you can see behind me, and I've been so excited to create this big town in this huge area. I'm so pumped to see how it turns out. I did do this live on Twitch with some people hanging out, so if you do want to see me do some recording, sometimes I do them over there. The link is in the description, but let's get started. So to start off with, I obviously put in all the houses that I knew I wanted to use into this space. There's some character houses, but majority of them are premium shop houses, and then obviously my own player house. And then I continued the leaf strewn pathway that I used in the farm section in a previous video. I will have the farm build link down below in case you haven't seen it, but I continued that pathway down and started figuring out how I wanted to map it in. Now I wanted it to look very natural and kind of not this set pathway, so I did try and do it in some like different angles and shapes just to make it look like it's kind of naturally found its way here. I didn't want it to look too built up here. I wanted it to feel like this really kind of quaint little town in the middle of the forest. So I started mapping that in and figuring out how I wanted to do it around the buildings. Now I did originally have the French bakery up here, but I decided actually it was just too busy for it in here and it didn't quite fit, and I didn't really have the space I wanted to kind of design that building how I wanted it. So I decided actually to move that out just to give Gaston's a little bit more space and then give me more spacing for the pathway, which I continue up all the way around the build. Now something else I knew I needed to include up here was my well, which I always find quite difficult to fit into builds because sometimes they don't really fit the theme, and obviously it doesn't really fit in this one. However, I just thought it could be like a wishing well kind of like magical theme, so I did plop that in around the curved pathway, and then I started adding in the trees. I started off with the bigger trees around the edge, so I used some of the ancient landing trees, which are my favourite to use up in the forest, and I also included some of the jungle ones as well, because obviously the tavern and the little like hobbit leafy cottage have this really light green tree, so I kind of had to make sure they didn't look too out of place, so I did incorporate these lighter jungle trees throughout the build to blend those in better. I started with the trees around the edge of the build just so it didn't kind of block my view on the inside, and obviously as I wanted this to be a kind of hidden spot in the forest, I wanted to make it really overgrown, so I had to add a lot of trees. I did add some of the new Mulan ones, the green and pink ones, to kind of tie into the whole build and give it this nice whimsical feel, but I used a lot of different trees of different heights and different types to make it just feel very overgrown in how I wanted it to kind of feel like you were blocked out of everything else and it was all very covered over and shaded. Now once I'd gone in with pretty much all of the trees I wanted to use, I then started adding in foliage. I started off down this end towards the farm where we've got the two opposite cottages, because this area I knew wouldn't have as much furniture in, because it obviously has all the additions from the farm that I built beforehand. So I started down this end and started figuring out how to add in different foliage. I went for a combination of base game and eternity isle plants and kept it to this nice kind of like dark green theme. I did add in some of the more autumnal colours as well to kind of break that up. Obviously a lot of butterfly flowers and then some of the brighter eternity isle foliage. After this, I went in and, as you can see, added in a lot of furniture. I did cut this out of the video just because it was me literally just placing stuff down. I added one of the Dreamlight Day banners that we got from Jack at the front, because they have these gorgeous like harvest themed items on either side. I absolutely love them, so I added those for the entrance. And then I went around the biome and added in some of the new glowing mushrooms from Scrooge. If you haven't got those in your Scrooge store yet, that is where they are from. They are absolutely gorgeous and really add to the whimsical forest feel in here. So I added some of those around and then started placing the furniture I knew I wanted to use. So I added in a lot of craftables. There's probably majority craftables in this build compared to Scrooge store items. There's a lot of carts and crates and things like that, because obviously this is a very cottagecore feel. I wanted it to feel very natural. Outside the front of Belle's library, I added in a bench with lots of books, and then I continued to place furniture around where I thought that it would fit, but it was a lot of trial and error as I went round. Now obviously in this area, as it is a little town, I did want to include Kristoff and Goofy's stalls, so I actually, rather than making like an open courtyard area in the middle, which was my original plan, I actually decided to just dot these around the pathway just to make it feel more natural. I didn't want it to feel too built up in here, so I decided to keep with the weaving pathway rather than create this like big middle section. It did start raining during the build, so apologies for the colour change, but I did continue after that and added in some of the berry bushes. Continued to edit the path and figure out where I wanted the rest of the furniture to go. I added some tables outside the front of the tavern, which I will go in later and edit, and I actually added in the new Corona fountain from the premium shop into the build, just because this really nice warm rustic colour of it really fit well with the theme. Now with these houses in here, obviously I wanted to give each of them their own little character outside, so I kind of used items that made sense for those houses. However, they don't have a huge amount of like catered personality to them, because it is like a little town area, so I don't really have the space to cater each house to a theme. So they kind of all are in this similar vibe, but I do try and add the odd little item to fit that house theme and that house style. But obviously, as it is this much more enclosed little town, that is kind of the way it goes. And I did did add some more foliage around all of the outer edges that I wanted to include just to make it feel, again, very overgrown. I added a lot of pumpkins, benches and more flowers just to keep it really bright in here, as well as add in some lantern lights that you will see later on. I do go and add in some other lighting at some point as well, which we will get to soon. Around the back of some of the houses, obviously there is these big open spaces. Now, if you are someone who's on a limited item limit, obviously it would make sense to just leave these blank, and it would obviously mean your natural spawns would go here. But as you can see this spot from my plaza, I hated the idea of being able to look up from the plaza and see these big open gaps, so I did go in and add in some foliage behind these houses. But as I said, it isn't actually mandatory, because if you're in the forest, you're not going to see these spots. But as I could see them from the plaza below, I just knew it would bother me. So I did go in and add in some rock spots and some bigger bushes to kind of block out this area in a really simple way without using too many items. Once I got in and lined most of the pathways, I then went in with some of the fire lanterns. I think these are a Beauty and the Beast item. I love using these because they're permanently lit. They don't turn off during the daytime, so they always bring a constant glow of light, which I really love in overgrown builds like this. It really reminds me as if there's like fairies here. So I dotted those around in all of the bushes, and then I went in and filled in this middle section. Now in here I wanted to use two bigger trees to really block it off, and then surround that with lots of foliage to make it, again, feel very overgrown, and also divide this pathway into two so it doesn't feel like this big huge open path with nothing there. It kind of gave it those two little different areas to be able to go through. You can pick left or right, and it still leads you to the kind of little cottages at the end. And then after that, as one of the final touches, I went in, added melted candles all throughout the bushes. Again, if you're on a limited item limit, I would not recommend this because it will eat that up. But if you've seen my builds before, I do love adding melted candles into these overgrown builds to, again, feel like at night or at sunset there are little fairies or something hanging out in here, and it really just gives that whimsical look. So this is the final build. As you can see, when we come in, we have got Goofy's store on the left, surrounded by lots of decoration and bushes. We've got the Dreamlight Day banner to welcome us in and give us that really automatic, autumny cottagecore feel, and I absolutely love the end pieces of this. And as you come in, we have got our Corona fountain with that really nice warm stone colour, and a little bench next to another berry bush, and our little exit across into our Mulan area. Ahead of that, we have my house. I decided to go with the purple cottage. I do sometimes swap this out for some of the premium shop ones, but I just really wanted to hang with this one for a while. I felt like I hadn't appreciated it enough, and I gave it this little front garden area with some of the Remy fences and a little bike and some decorations. And as we head down past that, we have got our area leading us into the farm, where we have Christoph's store on the right, and then we have the purple cottage on the left and the summery flower cottage on the right, opposite each other before we go into the farm. It all just blends really seamlessly in here, and I absolutely love having these two houses opposite each other, as they're very similar size and kind of like polar opposites of each other, but again really both fit into this cottagecore feel. Heading out of there, we get to our like crossroads area where we can pick kind of the left or right around these trees, and if we go left, we've got Belle's library from the bundle with a little bench out the front with some books for her to sit on, and then we have Lady Tremaine's house, which I wasn't sure where to put first, but I am glad I decided to put it in this little area. I feel like it fits really well. Carrying on from that, we have the Leafy Cottage house, one of my favourite house skins, with a little bench out the front, and again lots of crafted furniture like the stone well, some bird houses and some carts outside the front to really give it that nice kind of like homely cottage feel. Next to that, we have the tavern house with some tables out the front with some tavern inspired food on it where people can sit and hang out, next to the well, which I feel like actually ended up working really well in here. It looks very magical and I really love how it turned out. Then finally next to that, we have Gaston's house with some little fruit and veg stands out the front just to add a bit more character to it, and again lots of barrels and crates and things like that to fit with Gaston's style. As you head back out there, you just again have a lot more crafted furniture. We go into this open courtyard again, and you can see how everything is just really divided but still has that really bright and glowy look and just really fits together seamlessly. So here are some shots of the final build. As you can see, I've kind of got the farm in some of them because it is so like seamlessly collected together, but I absolutely love how this build turned out. I've been waiting to do it for so long, and I'm glad I finally got the chance to. I'm really worried that in the next update we're going to get some sort of cottagecore inspired home, and I'm going to again be in trouble and have to find a space to find it, but it's okay, we will cross that bridge if we get to it. But for the most part, I'm very, very happy with how it looks right now, and I'm glad my forest is completely finished, and this has been the part that I was definitely most excited about. Let me know down below what you guys think of this cottagecore town. Does it fit the vibes, and has it turned out well? Do you like it? I'm personally very, very happy with it. I probably will go in and like tweak and change things and add things as time goes on, especially if we are getting new items and stuff in updates to come, but for the most part at the moment I'm very, very happy with how it looks, and I just think I'm so happy to have it done. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let me know down below if you enjoyed the video, and if there's anything you want to see from me next, please do let me know. My forest is now completed, so if you do want an updated forest tour, I'm more than happy to do so. Just let me know. Have a lovely week, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.